Yeah, Mark, I'm sure it's hard to tell, but it is sunny out here. It is warm, and we want some apple cider. I mean, it is Apple Fest, right? We're at the corner of Chestnut and 13th Street in Murfreesboro. I am at the Jackson County Farm Bureau tent, and I am joined by Brenda with Ag in the Classroom. And we've got a cider press from the 1800s right here. We're also joined by Taryn with Farm Bureau. So, Brenda, we were kind of doing it earlier. We actually peeled an apple and then we'll put them in the press. So kind of walk me through how this process works.
Hi there. So what you do is you just put the apple onto these prongs here. And even though we're not going to go through this whole process since we already have one, but you go ahead and you can twist this. This will peel the apple and then this will cut it up sort of like this.
And look at this. How cool is that?
I mean, it can fall apart, but usually it's more fun if it sticks together. But now, since this is all done and said, we're going ahead and toss it into the apple press. And now it's in there, and we're going to go ahead and rotate this.
And it's just kind of like a little bucket in here, essentially. And now both Taryn and Brenda are turning the levers. And there are buckets underneath here that the chunks of apple are falling into. Again, this press is from the 1800s, folks. So this makes fresh cider, and these apples were provided by Malure Orchards for Apple Festival today. And so, Brenda, how long do you turn it for?
I think pretty much until you think it's pretty good. Normally, as you can see down there, there's still some chunks, so you'll want to make sure that all the chunks are gone, or if you just like chunky apple cider, then that's something for you. But we do have some apple cider for you to try, and I'll try it with you.
This is what I have been waiting for, folks. Like I said, it's nice and hot and sunny out here today. Brenda, cheers.
That's pretty good.
Ooh, that is really good. Well, ladies, I want to thank you both so much for talking with us tonight. This is so cool. This is so yummy. Enjoy yourselves here at Apple Fest. Stay cool. Mark, I'm going to go ahead and sip on some of this cider. So for now, I'll send it back to you. Jake, they're both 2-1 right now, so this is a big game, and I'm sure you can hear the band going behind me. They just did a wonderful rendition of the national anthem. And you know, it's fall sports season, so we are at the football game, but there are a lot of student athletes who work hard in the fall. I'm joined by 3 of them right now. Thank you all so much for meeting with us. So we have Trey, who runs cross country. We have Justice, who's playing volleyball right now, and Callie, who's on the cheer team. I know you've got your ladies behind you here. How are your seasons going so far?
They're going great. As you can see, we're enjoying the football game right now, and competition season starts up in October, so we're excited for that.
Very cool. Justice?
Volleyball is not going as planned, but I think we'll get everything worked out when it comes to time for postseason.
Perfect. And how's it going cross country wise?
Cross country's going pretty well. Got a great group of guys going pretty good, and excited to see how we do.
Great. And we're going to wrap it up here, but what do you want to say to the guys on the football team tonight?
Good luck tonight. We need a win because I love to watch you guys win. Go Rams.
Horns up.
What they said.
Go Rams. All right. Thank you all so much. I will let you go ahead and enjoy the game. Things are getting pretty exciting here in Mount Vernon. We're going to keep an eye on things, Jake. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and send it back to you in the studio. Thank you, Mark. We're joined tonight by Dr. Cesar Coelho, a cardiologist with the SIH Prairie Heart Institute. Dr. Coelho, thank you so much for being here with us this evening. Now, I want to get right into it. We hear a lot about COVID-19's impacts on our lungs, but now we're finding it's becoming more of a heart issue too, right?
It's my pleasure to be here, Julie, and it is correct. The viral infection affects the lungs and produces respiratory failure and generalized symptoms in the rest of your body, including in the heart. And it was surprising to most of us in the beginning of the pandemic to see that about 40% of the patients that were sick enough to be admitted to the hospital had markers of heart damage on their blood. And fortunately, those are sometimes very limited and they resolve spontaneously. But some of them will be having more serious heart involvement. And not only heart, sometimes also vascular involvement, as you might have heard. And we see some of that also with the vaccines, but it's a lot more pronounced on the patients sick with COVID.
And what can COVID do to someone's heart?
So in most of the cases, it's been worse. And at the same time, if your lungs are very involved, that's going to put a lot of strain on the heart, especially the right side of the heart,
Okay.
and can produce right side heart failure.
So it all kind of interconnects internally then.
Absolutely. I mean, the human body has these organs, but
People, we're hearing reports. Some folks are concerned about the effects on their heart after getting the vaccine. Can you speak to that? Are there any side effects, especially people with heart issues should be aware of?
well, the vaccine itself has been extremely safe for, looking at the population. Now, there will be
An EMCO procedure. Am I pronouncing that right?
the ECMO.
ECMO.
The ECMO.
ECMO.
So, the ECMO, if you imagine somebody having a mild form of, let's say, COVID, they have the ECMO, they have to go to a higher level of care.
Pretty serious then.
Transferred to different hospitals, and usually St. Louis or Nashville and so on.
All right, well, Dr. Coelho, I want to thank you so much for joining us this evening. You've been very informative. We really appreciate it. We will have this entire COVID conversation on our website, WSILTV.com. Tonight by Dr. Jason West, a primary care physician with SIH Harrisburg. Dr. West, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it this evening. And now we kind of want to focus tonight on substance misuse during the pandemic. I think a lot of people, myself included, we hear, COVID-19, we think of the virus itself, but there are a lot of mental impacts going on right now.
Absolutely. Just like we see a lot of chronic illnesses being impacted because of the pandemic, because people maybe haven't sought out care.
Are you seeing that, with your existing patients and even new patients having to come in?
Absolutely. We're seeing more patients come in saying, I feel like I'm smoking more, I feel like I'm using opioids more,
And are there predetermined factors, maybe, someone's genetic makeup that might make them more prone to, substance misuse, especially right now?
Absolutely. So again, it's not just you made a bad choice and you keep making it. In the midst of COVID, when we're all stressed out.
Big time. And if someone at home right now is watching and, kind of wondering, is this something I might be struggling with? What would you say to those folks?
I would say start to ask yourself, am I using, opioids? Am I using alcohol?
You make a fantastic point. It is still something that needs to be cared for and treated. Wow. And, when it comes to therapy, I think sometimes there is a little bit of a stigma about it too. What would you say to that point tonight?
I would say that just remember that it's a chronic illness, and when we change our mindset about that, health has really enabled us to provide in-home treatment and prevent the spread of COVID.
All right, well, Dr. West, this has been a very enlightening conversation and very helpful information for us. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will have this entire conversation on our website, WSILTV.com.